My fiancé announced, I listed your car on Facebook Marketplace for $5,000. Someone's picking it up in an hour. We need the money for my bachelorette party. I said, fast sale. Then I called the police about attempted theft and waited with officers when the buyer showed up. When she had to explain to the cops why she was selling property that wasn't hers, I'm a 32-year-old guy who always believed that betrayal announces itself with thunder, shattered glass, slammed doors, screaming matches. I thought you saw it coming, felt it in your bones, sensed it through every crack in your relationship. But the truth is quieter, more calculated, and sometimes it comes disguised as someone you've loved for years, someone you trusted enough to picture a life with, someone you were willing to protect, until they made the mistake of thinking you were too soft to see what they were capable of. The morning it all began, the apartment felt wrong, not messy, not chaotic, just unnervingly still, like something in the air had shifted without warning. She was standing in the kitchen, scrolling on her phone with a smile that didn't belong to the woman I thought I knew. It wasn't joyful, it was secretive, smug, almost victorious. I should have recognized it then. She didn't even look up when she dropped the first spark. Hey, she said casually, small update. I listed your car on Facebook Marketplace. I blinked. You, what? She finally lifted her head, eyes bright like she discovered fire. For 5,000, someone's coming to get it in like an hour, maybe less. I didn't speak at first. I just stared at her, waiting for the obvious punchline to follow. But the silence that filled the room didn't bend toward humor. She shrugged, sipping from a mug that wasn't even hers, one of mine she'd claimed months ago. We need the money, she said. You know the girls and I are going to Cabo for my bachelorette party. Flights went up, and I had to book the house. So I figured, fast cash. I could hear the blood rushing in my ears. You listed my car. Babe, don't be dramatic, she scoffed. We share everything now. What's yours is mine. That's how marriage works. You said that yourself. I never said anything of the sort, but there it was, the sense of entitlement I'd ignored too many times. She tossed her hair over her shoulder like she'd just solved a complex equation. Look, if it makes you feel better, he's already on the way. Nice guy. Paid a deposit. Said he'll bring a truck. So no backing out, okay? I wasn't sure which part stunned me more, the audacity or the confidence that I'd simply agreed to it. She walked past me, patting my chest like I was a sulking child. You should be proud, she said breezily. You're helping fund the best week of my life. It was then that I finally understood what had been simmering beneath the surface for months. The late-night girls' outings where she posted nothing, the locked phone, the sudden expenses she claimed were wedding costs, the passive-aggressive comments about how I never do enough, the sudden insistence that we keep finances separate, even though she kept treating mine like a shared vault, and above all, the steady erosion of respect that I had mistaken for stress. She walked into the bathroom and shut the door behind her, humming like she hadn't just detonated our relationship in the span of 30 seconds. She walked into the bathroom and shut the door behind her, humming like she hadn't just detonated our relationship in the span of 30 seconds. I stood in the empty living room, staring at the silent doorway she'd vanished behind, and felt something in my chest settle. Not break, not crack, but settle. Because her confession didn't hurt. It confirmed everything. While the shower ran, I walked to my car, unlocked it, sat inside, and let the quiet wash over me. She didn't think I'd do anything. She didn't think I could. And that was her fatal miscalculation. I dialed the non-emergency police line, explaining the situation with calm clarity. My car, unauthorized listing, a stranger arriving to take possession, potential theft. The dispatcher listened carefully. Would you like officers present when the individual arrives? Yes, I said, I would. Stay put, we'll send a unit. I hung up and looked at the steering wheel, the same one I'd driven across states during road trips, the same car I'd saved for, maintained, insured. My property, my responsibility, my line in the sand. When I stepped out of the car, she appeared on the balcony, hair wrapped in a towel, face glowing with that same self-satisfied smile. You're still here, she said. You should probably pack your stuff out of the glove box. The guy said he might not want the extra junk. The guy, I repeated. You talked to him? Of course. I set everything up. She walked down the steps, phone in hand, waving it triumphantly. He's on his way. Maybe 15 minutes now. You didn't think to ask if you could sell my car? She rolled her eyes. Are we seriously doing this? I don't need your permission for everything. I'm literally about to be your wife. Stop acting like I stole something. Did you think I wouldn't mind? She paused then, her annoyance flickering into irritation. You told me money was tight. I'm helping us. You're welcome. There it was, the version of her that surfaced whenever something didn't revolve around her comfort or convenience. A version I had once brushed off as stress or insecurity or wedding pressure. But standing there now, hearing her justify selling something she didn't own just because she felt entitled to it, I saw her clearly for the first time. I stepped back into the apartment, grabbed my keys and wallet, and she followed me, confused. Where are you going? She demanded. To meet the buyer. Good, at least you're being mature now. I didn't respond. I waited outside near the parking lot, hands in my jacket pockets, watching the road. The officers arrived first. Two of them, calm, observant, professional. They greeted me, asked a few questions, confirmed details. Then the buyer pulled up in an old pickup, smiling wide, ready for what he thought was a deal of a lifetime. He stepped out holding the printout of the listing she posted. Hey man, I'm here for the car. She said you'd be cool with the price. The officers exchanged looks. Let's have a chat, one of them said. Before the conversation could even unfold, she stormed out of the apartment like she'd been summoned, stomping toward us with a mix of frustration and superiority that made my stomach tighten. What's going on? She snapped. Why are cops here? The buyer turned to her, confused. You said everything was legit. Is there a problem? She flashed him a disarming smile. No, 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 my fiancée is just being dramatic. One of the officers raised a hand. Ma'am, is this your vehicle? She hesitated. That split-second hesitation exposed everything. It's our vehicle, she said finally. We're engaged. We share... No, I said sharply. Every head turned to me. It's my car, title, registration, insurance, all in my name. She listed it without my knowledge or permission. Her expression cracked then, panic threading through the arrogance. What are you doing? She hissed at me. Stop embarrassing yourself. One officer stepped forward. Ma'am, we need you to explain why you were attempting to sell property you don't own. I wasn't stealing it, she shouted. We need money for my bachelorette trip. He owes me that. The buyer stepped back, realizing he'd walked into a disaster. Ma'am, the officer repeated, did you post this listing? He held up the screenshot I'd provided. Her voice wavered. Yes, but it's not theft if we're together. That's not how property law works, the officer said. I watched her face crumble in real time. First indignation, then indignation twisted into outrage, then outrage curdling into fear. You called the police, she whispered at me. You actually called the police on your fiancé? I met her eyes steady. You made your choice. Now I'm making mine. She looked between me, the officers, the confused buyer, and the car, her mind scrambling for a narrative that would make her look like the victim again. But the truth was laid bare, and for the first time since I'd met her, she didn't have the power to twist it. And this moment of unraveling was only the beginning. She stood frozen, hands trembling slightly even as she tried to disguise it with crossed arms. This is ridiculous, she muttered. You're blowing this out of proportion. I was trying to help us. The wedding is expensive. The trip is important. My friends already booked things expecting me to pay my share. The officer raised an eyebrow. And you believed selling his vehicle without his permission was the appropriate solution? She snapped. I thought he'd understand. He always does. He always lets things go. He never says no unless it's something stupid. And this shouldn't even be a big deal. She jabbed a finger in my direction. You're just doing this to humiliate me. Her voice cracked on that last word, the mask slipping entirely. Good. The truth had to come out eventually. The buyer, now fully aware he was part of a mess he didn't sign up for, stepped back and shook his head. Look, man, I'm sorry. I didn't know. I thought it was legit. It's not your fault, I told him. You were as misled as I was. The officers took down statements, documented screenshots, verified identification, everything by the book. Meanwhile, she kept pacing like a trapped animal, muttering under her breath about how unfair the world was, how I owed her, how this was supposed to be her year. Finally, an officer turned to her. "Ma'am, this situation is serious. Selling property without ownership or legal authorization is attempted theft. Given that there was an arranged in-person handoff and money exchanged, it escalates beyond just a misunderstanding." She swallowed hard. "I didn't steal anything. I didn't take the car. I wasn't hiding it." "That's not the requirement for attempted theft," the officer explained. I watched her process his words, watched the panic bloom wider in her eyes, and it struck me how confidently she'd marched into this trap, believing she was untouchable, believing I would protect her from consequences she created. I wasn't angry anymore. I was done. Eventually, the officers asked if I wished to press charges. She turned to me instantly. "You wouldn't." I didn't answer right away. I let the silence hang in the air, worsening the tremor in her voice. "You wouldn't," she repeated louder, desperate now. "We're getting married." "No," I said quietly. "We're not." Those 4 words landed harder than any accusation. She flinched like I'd struck her. "You can't call off the wedding over this," she shouted. "You can't. Everything is booked. People are flying in. My mother will lose her mind." "That's not my concern anymore." She looked at the officers, then back at me, like she expected someone to intervene on her behalf. No one did. "I'm not pressing charges," I finally said to the officers, "but I want her removed from the property for the day. I need space, and she's not to access my car, keys, or anything attached to it." She let out a sharp, humorless laugh. "You're kicking me out?" "You tried to sell my car to fund a trip you didn't even invite me to," I said. "You crossed every boundary. You don't live here today." She stared at me in disbelief. "You're choosing the car over me?" "No," I said. "I'm choosing self-respect over chaos." The officers issued her a temporary trespass notice for the property, explaining that she needed to leave for the next 24 hours. She sputtered, protested, tried bargaining, even tried crying when anger didn't work. None of it helped. She stormed off eventually, grabbing her purse but leaving everything else behind. She didn't even look at me when she got into her rideshare and slammed the door. When the officers left and the parking lot quieted, I stood alone, breathing in the heavy, strange relief of a man who finally saw the full shape of the storm he'd been living inside. But the aftermath, that was just beginning. The first call came 15 minutes later. Block number. I didn't answer. Then the text began. "You can't do this. We were supposed to get married. My friends are losing their minds. Tell the police to remove the trespass notice. This is childish. We need to talk like adults." I didn't respond. Then her maid of honor texted me. "What the hell happened? She said you called the cops on her for no reason. Are you seriously kicking her out before the wedding?" Her version of events had already begun mutating. I typed back one sentence. "Ask her why she tried selling my car without permission." The reply came 10 minutes later. "Oh, she left that part out. I'll talk to her. She's losing it." Then came the ring notification. She was standing outside the apartment building, pounding on the lobby door, screaming at the intercom to, "Let her up, you coward." She kicked the metal frame, cursed loud enough to startle a couple walking a dog, and screamed something about how, "I'm not losing everything over a stupid vehicle." I watched through the camera, silent. Eventually, security asked her to leave. She did, but not quietly. Then came her mother's call. "Son, I know she made a mistake," her mom began softly. "But young women panic when weddings get close. She wasn't thinking clearly." I almost laughed. Selling someone's car wasn't a panic reaction. It was entitlement. "She needs help," her mother continued. "Patience, compassion. If you end the engagement now, it will destroy her." "It should have been ended months ago," I said. "Today just made it undeniable." Her mother sighed. "You have no idea what she's going through." "I have a very clear idea," I replied. "She tried to commit fraud. On me." Her mom went quiet. Then she hung up. I didn't hear from her again. That night I received a long message, 6 paragraphs, telling me how I ruined everything, how she did everything for us, How I chose a car over the woman who loved you more than anyone ever will. She ended with, "You're going to regret this. No one else will ever care about you like I did." I stared at the message longer than I expected. Not because it hurt, but because of how familiar that tone was. This mix of guilt, blame, and manipulation she always used when she didn't get her way. I blocked her number. The next morning, she tried using her friend's phone to reach me. She says she's sorry. Can she come by to get her things? I'll pack them. She can pick them up at the lobby with security. I gathered her belongings, not lovingly, not hatefully, just methodically. Clothes, makeup, books, trinkets. I placed everything neatly into boxes, sealed them, labeled them. While packing, I found something else. A printed itinerary for her Cabo trip tucked inside a makeup drawer. She wasn't planning a bachelorette week with the girls. She booked a private suite for two flight tickets, two spa passes, two candlelit dinners. The second ticket name? A man I didn't know. My chest didn't ache. It went cold. I took pictures of everything, saved copies of the itinerary, sent one message to the friend coordinating pickup. Tell her I know. No reply came. When the time came for pickup, she didn't show. She sent two of her friends instead, both looking uncomfortable as they avoided eye contact. They loaded the boxes in the trunk without saying a word. One of them finally mumbled, "She messed up. We know. Just sorry." And then they drove off. Silence reclaimed my apartment. No chaos, no shouting, no manipulation disguised as romance. Just peace. But the final twist came a week later. I received an email from the buyer, the guy who'd unknowingly been part of the disaster. He wrote, "Hey, just wanted to let you know she reached out to me after that day. She tried offering to sell me your car for a lower price if we met somewhere else without you. I blocked her. You dodged a bullet, man. Good luck." I forwarded the message to the officers who'd been at the scene. They thanked me for the information and said they would add it to the incident record in case anything escalated in the future. It didn't. She vanished from my life after that, quietly, suddenly, as if the world swallowed her whole, and the wedding that was supposed to happen in 3 months, canceled, deposits lost, plans undone, peace restored. People asked why the engagement ended. Family, friends, co-workers. I told them the truth in one sentence. She tried selling my car for her bachelorette trip. Every single person reacted the same way. They blinked, breathed out a stunned laugh, and said, "Yeah, you did the right thing." Sometimes betrayal comes softly. Sometimes it comes disguised as someone you once loved. And sometimes it arrives shamelessly, holding your car keys in one hand and a Facebook marketplace listing in the other. But endings don't always come crashing down. Some end quietly, cleanly, decisively. And this one ended the moment she underestimated the one thing she never expected, that I'd finally choose myself.